Hi guys, and welcome back. So, the boards have arrived. We're going to carry on and finish off this Dragon 32 with the boards and that I've got, and hopefully get some good results. I don't have the labels from the UK yet, and I've just done a follow-up to find out where they are, as they were posted in November, and they're still not here. Go UK Mail. So anyway, we will carry on with this and carry on with the Dragon 32. So grab yourself a drink, something to snack on if you want, and a comfy chair, and let's get on with it. Hey guys, so what I'm doing at this point is I am doing the cables that go from the power video distribution board to the power supply and then to the plug that goes to the main board. So that's what I'm going to be doing at the moment. So I'll switch you over to the other video so you can see what I'm doing, and I can explain what I'm doing along the way. Okay, so hang on a second, I'll switch you over. Right, so there we have it. So I'm sorry about the nuisance. It's on my lap. Unfortunately, it's raining and blowing outside and she doesn't like it. So she's decided I'm the next best thing. So anyway, what I've got is I've got the crimps. So I had to check, I've got two sets, and I had to check I've got the right ones for the width of these. And when you do these, I've found that they go in the big jaw in this. But the problem is I find it doesn't give enough pressure on the strain relief, whereas where the big wide U gets crimped around the plastic, it doesn't give enough strength on that, and it tends to, if you're pulling them too many times, they'll pull a wire out of it. So I find I usually drop it, after I do the big one, I put it in the middle and I crimp it on the middle one. It does take a bit of prying, as you'll see, to get it back out. Not a lot, just a wee bit. But I find it's way, way better. The other thing I find with these is the locking pins that stick out the back, because these are mass produced, they don't come out very far, and you can push it in and pull it out. It doesn't lock properly. So I find I've got to use a very fine tipped screwdriver just to pop it out a little bit. I'm not sure where my pick has gone. I've got to find. I have that problem around here. And so anyway, I'm going to replace the one in the machine. So that's the male to go into it. And I've done one on it because I had to work out why they weren't locking in. So that's what I've done. So what I've done for this is I'm going to do the audio on white, the video on orange, and then going into the board I'm going to use the standard color coding that they use. So you got your red for 5, your yellow for 12, and blue is minus 12, but I'm going to use it for the minus 5, and then of course black is for earth. Now this piece of cable is way longer than what I need, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the black, and I found a brown, I'm going to use the blue, and I found a brown, and so those are the standard colours for mains. So that's going to come from the little board into the power supply. So I'm going to try and keep everything standard colour coded, so that way anybody who looks at it later on will have a reasonably good idea of what the colours are for power. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. It's just, you know, sometimes if you can do it, guys, it might be a little bit more work, but it saves a lot of people a lot of headaches further down the track. And if people did that for me and I was doing something, I'd be really happy with that, because it just saves me so much work in trying to backtrack and find out what's been going on. Alright guys, so I'll get on to doing this, and I'll tell you the little bits that I'm doing as I'm going along, and I can give you the wee bits of information that I've gleaned out. Whether you want them or not, that is up to you. Alright guys, so I will get on with it. And the one way, if you've never used these before, these types of pliers, is you look at the jaws, and you'll see in the jaws there's a small side and a wide side. So they sort of come in and then they drop down and they taper in again. The wide side is for the biggest part, which crimps around the plastic. So when you, I'll just bring it up, see if you can, I don't know if you can see it. You might be able to see, you can see those little wings. They're the ones that crimp around the plastic. And there's some very, very tiny ones further inside. that's what crimps the wire. So when you put them in, I always come from the small side to the big, because some of these aren't as long as others, and when you go to put them in, you'll push them in too far, and you'll go up part of this metal, the metal shielding that holds the pin, and you'll crimp that, which is not good. But I usually give it one click so it's very, very loose, and then I'll slide it back so it hits. So with these, as you can see them there, the metal piece on the front is taller than the rest of it. So when I put it on one click, it means I can slide it and move it around, but it won't go all the way in and won't come all the way out. But that metal piece is actually resting on the side of the jaws, so it's not going to go any further in. So that's when I know I've got it in the right place. Now my wires have already been stripped to the right length, and so with this one it's a bit hard. Yeah, it's going to be too hard for you to see, but it doesn't come all the way out. So put that in there, and you generally just got to look at it and see if it's in the right place when you put them in. And then these are ratchet ones, so you ratchet it down and then it comes out. And as you can see, it's crimped, but the back here is not crimped down as tight as it could be. So what I like to do is go to the second one and do the same thing. I pull it in till it stops and then crimp that again. And then as you see here, it's stuck because that is a slightly smaller hole than it should be. But gentle pressure on either side and then that pops out. And that is on there nice and tight now. And one thing to do is whenever you do these, check them. Always check each one you do for continuity. Because if you don't, you'll find there'll be one that doesn't, and until you put it all together, you're not going to find out. And that's fine. Right, so with these, the side with the open gaps on it, that's where the little tab that sticks up, the locking tab, that's where that goes into. I need to have a look on the file I've got for the power connector to see which one I've got to put it in. I know I've got the white one and the right one, it's just the video I've got to make sure. Sorry about that guys, I got a bit of a humbug there for a minute. This is my printout of the board, so it's the one next to the white one. So yes, I've skipped two, then it's the audio, and then the one right next to it's the video. So that one goes into there for the video. Now I don't really need to run two. I would like to keep a piece of that for the other. They're not going to be long going from the board to the other one, so I think I'll have miles of it there. So I'd like to keep some of the heavy stuff for going to the power supply for the DC voltage in. So I think I'll have plenty there because that doesn't go very far, so it doesn't need to be very long. Yeah, that'd be miles long enough. So take a ruler and we'll get a standard length we're going to cut these to, right? So if we go that far, just there, so 11 centimetres should be more than enough. So I think that'll do us fine. So we pop these off at about 11 centimetres. That should be fine. Some of these too, you'll find if you're using slightly bigger wires in these crimping tools, you'll find you go to put your wire in and strands will splay out, and they'll pull out the sides and they won't go in properly. Sorry. If you find that, I usually fire a soldering iron and I tin the wire. And when you tin the wire, it holds everything together, but the crimping tools can crimp through the solder because it's soft. So if you have problems, do that. Now if you're looking for things for bridging or stuff like that, you can use these strips if you hang on to them for reasonable lengths. Because they're tinned same as these plugs, you can solder these. So you could actually solder this and use it like a bus bar of some sort for either a power bar or a earthing bar or something like that. So if you need some, hang on to some of that. I get quite a bit of it, so I don't need it. And that's the one I pulled the pin out of, so that'll be the locator one. But I think I've got these around the other way, because that would then be on the motherboard. Oh no, that'd work. Yeah, that'd work, right? That was on the motherboard, so then yeah, 12 across. Yep, that's fine. And the last two are not used. Yep, which is the last two are for the 5 volts back in to this board that I redesigned for the RF modulator, which this doesn't have, and the other one was the signal for the RF modulator too. And because it's not on here, I'm not worried about it. Those are done, so those just need to be stripped and tinned to be soldered into the board. That's got the plug sitting on there to go into the board. I didn't put these in from here because I haven't done it. These just go to pins on the bottom, so if you wanted to, you could make up an RF modulator and attach it from underneath with a couple of wires to get the signals, because you can also pull your sound and video off of the bottom of this board as well. Or you could pop these connectors out and double wire it. Well, that's that one done, so we need a blue and a brown now. I'll just move these out the way. We don't want any of that, or that, or that, or that, or that. And we just want blue and brown for mains. So this is one that goes into the board. These are the ones that are going from the board to the power supply. So I'll go from there onto the terminal connections on here. So I'm going to put crimp terminals on the end of those, and they don't need to be hugely long because that's going to be there. It'll be about that far away from it. So as you see, it's not very far away for it to go from one to the other. So it probably wouldn't be much more than what we were doing before, about 11 centimeters, sorry. Yeah, 11, 12 centimeters would be fine. That'll give us miles of room to go from one to the other. So I think I'll do that. That's already tinned on one end, which will be fine. So we don't need it all that long because it's only going into the board. Come on. So we'll go from there. Then we'll cut it off at 12, just give us that fraction more. That one, and the blue one. That's tinned at one end too, which is good. We'll spin that around and I'll make them the same length. And that one as well. So those two will go from there into there. So what I can do is I can crimp these ends on these, and I have to make some up for this end. So I've got to cut the ones for this one that go into here and crimp onto here. So we need blue for that. What do I need to get me? Some black, red and yellow. So that's those two, which are power. It's those ones which are for the DC voltage, and it's those ones for the others. So all I've got to do here now is just got to trim these off, tin the ends so they're ready to go into the board, and put the crimps on the ends of these ones, and ready to go. Alright, so that's where we're up to for now, and I think that will do me until the boards arrive. Alright guys. So guys, there's the box with the boards in it. This is where I got to last time. I told you I was going to put the crimps on the end of the wires, which I have done. And that's why I say, look on AliExpress or Temu and places like that, and look for these crimp connectors. And they come in these little kits, all different sizes. And this one is the round and the U-shaped. And it has about 4 or 5 different sizes. And I just found one that fits nice underneath this, and it's not too loose, and it's not too tight to get in. And so that's all I did with that. So the only problem I find with these cases is these little dividers. They don't sit in very well, and they jump out and go everywhere. So unfortunately this is a little bit of a mess, and I'm going to have to tidy it up later. So I went through and I have crimped the ends of all these other wires, as you can see. So all the DC and the AC wires I've done. So they're ready to go, and that's the plug to go into the board for this to plug into. Now I've stripped all the ends. I haven't soldered all those yet, so I've got to do that. I've got to solder all those. I'll just move my multimeter out, because always check your connections when you put them on to make sure that you've not missed the copper and you've only just crimped the strain relief on it, okay? Always check, because 9 times out of 10 you think, no, it's all good. You plug it in and you go, why isn't this working? And you find one of your cables is not good. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So guys, remember that and do that. So this is our original board we had. So what we'll do is I've actually taken them out of the pack. So all the shrink wrapping's off them, because that's a pain to get off. And so these are the boards I've gotten. And I'll leave the others in there. So if these work really, really well, if anybody wants them, it cost me the same to get 10 done as it did to get 5 done. There was no difference in cost. So I'll have a few of these if anybody wants them. Okay, and basically just cover the costs. You know, for me to get these, I'll have to have a look online. I can't remember. I think including freight, it was something like about 12 or 13 bucks for the whole lot. So you'll probably be looking at $1 or $2 each plus freight to wherever you are. So these are the boards, and as you can see, I've done them in a black, so the white writing stands out really, really good. And we go into here, because these are just going to be the bridge ones for the AC coming in. These are the ones that have the AC from the switch that actually go to the power supply. And we'll see if these are the tinned ends, and yeah, nice fit. Yeah, all these are a nice size hole. And those ones are the size for those, because this is a fraction big for them. I went that way because I wanted to make sure there's enough room for the wire to go in. And if you use something a little bit bigger, the holes are not going to be too small. 9 times out of 10 I get some of these boards that other people have made, and it'll only fit a certain size wire, and that's your lot. I sort of thought I want to look at something that'll handle mains rated wire, and that's what this is. This is mains rated wire. So it's going into the power supply, so it has to be. But anyway, here is our board. And I flipped this one over when I did it, so that on there, and put that onto that, and yeah, that fits really, really good. Put that side on that side, and yeah, that fits really, really good. Right, so what I'm going to do is put that aside, and put that aside because that's got to go into the board. Those are our two mains ones, and those are our DC ones. Those are the ones that go on here, where that plugs into the motherboard. So what I'll do is I'll put the soldering iron on first, and I must make up a solder roll holder. I've seen a few tutorials around about doing that sort of thing. I must actually do something, and I'm not going to go all out extravagant. I'll probably just bend something up out of some metal or alloy that I've got kicking around. So anyway, put my eyes on. So those two are going to go on there. So what I'll do is, when you're working with AC, the way I've always been told is when they change the colour codes, so this is now blue, brown, and it comes yellow and green for the earth. Now because this is the 8-pin connector, there's no earth on the AC coming in, so it's an isolated one. So I'm just using the brown and the blue. The old colour code wiring, if you're from the old school, used to be black and red, like it is in DC. But they changed it, and I think that was just to stop people getting confused between AC and DC with power. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's why they did it. So one way to remember your old colour code to your new colour code, I was taught this years and years and years ago by an old fella, and he says this is the easiest way that you'll remember what wire goes for what. So if you're in a fight and someone hits you, you're liable to be black and blue. So if you're black and blue, the other colour left is red and brown, because the yellow and orange, the yellow and green has the green stripe, which goes with the original colouring of green for earth. So the yellow and the green go together, the black and the blue go together, and the red and the brown go together. And the other thing is the red and the brown are very close in colour. So that's how I've always learnt how to tell them apart, and I find it's really, really easy doing that. And that's how I remember it. So black and blue is your neutral, red and brown is your live, and green is your earth or your hot ground, or your yellow and green is the same. And AC, remember that. So what I will do, these ones are already tinned, so I might as well put these ones in. So that's our neutral, that's our live, and what I'll do is I want to turn them so that when I go into the power connector, I want the crimp side up, so they slide in nice and flat when that screws down. So I don't want to be twisting them around when I go to put them in. You could always solder them in first and then crimp your ends on. I just find it's easy doing a whole pile of crimps to start with. So we have our wires in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack them on the back and then make sure they're all the way down. And then I'll solder them completely. One of them's a little bit long, but these are all pre-tinned. This wire was. Okay. Yep, those look fine. They're down nice and tight, so that's cool. I'll just trim that one off. Cool, I'll just put a little bit more. And as I say, when I clip leads and legs and things, I've learnt from a couple of old guys from the old school that once you've done that, it doesn't hurt to reflow over the top. It makes it look nicer. Rather than having a little bit sharp tip sticking out, reflowing the solder over the top of them actually gives them a nicer look. So that's those ones done. And then because on this I put all the colour, the voltages on it, sorry, not the colour codes, the voltages on it. Then we just go ground, -5, +5, and +12. And I'm using the DC voltages like are in a PC power supply. So our ground is black, our -5 I am using as blue, and our +12 is yellow, which is what it is in a standard ATX power supply. The blue isn't, but I wanted to use something that's power related. I think the blue is minus 12 in a PC ATX power supply. I think it is. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. And I did find my little self-adhesive feet down the back room, so I'm having to clean out the back room for Christmas. We've got some friends coming down, and the wife's mother's coming over from Aussie, and bits and pieces, so I'm having to box up all the gear I've got in the back room into tubs and store it in the back of the Ambo I have. So I've got a 83 CF2 Ambo, so in the back of that it's fiberglass and it's nice and dry, so they can go in there for now until the new year, until I can get into them and sort them out. And so yeah, and I went over the hill to pick up a couple of little things for the backyard, and some plastic coated clothesline wire for the grapevine. So, and I went over and got that and some staples to staple it into the fence. And while I was there, I had a look and I thought, oh, what's that? And they had 50-litre tubs on sale, and they were $7.99 each with lids. And I thought, you'll do, mate. And so I grabbed 10 of them. So I have a few spare, so I can box up a lot of stuff. And when I put stuff up into the roof as well, it's all protected, so I can put them on those and stick them up in the roof. So yep, those are all done, so that's good. And so what I'll do is I got some of this on a whole pile of stuff I had scrapped, and that was some connectors and things. I picked up a whole lot of stuff from a chappie up the island a few weeks back, and he was into doing robotics and stuff like that, and he says, oh, if anybody wants this stuff, they can have it. And I thought, well, I'm going up that way. So I said to him, well, if you want to, I can drop in and grab it, And he says, yeah, not a problem. So that's what I did. And in amongst it, there was cabling with all sorts of bits and pieces on it. And I thought, well, something like this. And this is just a cable tidy. And these are the split ones, so you can just wrap it around your cables. And I thought, that'll keep it all nice and tidy. And it doesn't need to be hugely long. So, and then I can cut that bit off and put a little bit on the other little bit on this side, and that'll just keep all these really, really tidy to go onto the connector instead of all being spread out all over the place. So anyway, that bit is done. I will now solder in these wires off of this connector, and so we need to know which ones are going where. So that one's our 5-volt, that's our 5-volt return. That's our mod wire, which goes to the RF unit. That's no longer on here, but we'll tin these wires up first, I think. We'll just move. What have we done here? I've mucked that up already, guys. Wouldn't you believe it? Not taking my own advice. And what I'm doing, guys, is when I'm heating it up and it gets hot, I'm pushing it in a little bit, so it's actually melting the strain relief and it's pushing the wires in, so it gives it a good seal around the wire, so there's nothing bare for showing. Right, now the two are just our sound and our video, so, and they're going into the right holes now, so that one is our sound and that one is our video. Right, so I'm trying to get those on. Now just going to make sure, because these don't want too much heat on these, because they will, the sheathing will actually melt on them pretty quick otherwise. So guys, that's where we're up to, but don't need to carry on into next year. So guys, as I always say, have a great day, have a great week, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe. And until next time, ciao.